Hello and welcome to the award-winning Bowie Youth Showcase. I'm Kashara Clay and meet my co-host Fatima Diallo. Today on the Bowie Youth Showcase, we will continue to focus on empowerment in our community.
Sit tight, we will be right back with our guests.
Hello and welcome to the Bowie Youth Showcase. Our first guest is Mr. Phil Lee. He is the chairperson for C-PAC. Let's jump right in. What's C-PAC?
C-PAC is the acronym for Community Public Awareness Council, and I would be the executive director.
I apologize for that mistake.
That's quite all right.
How long have you worked with at-risk youth, or just youth in general?
I'm into my 11th year with C-PAC and work with our at-risk children.
Mr. Lee, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me
tonight. And you know, if you have to do an outlook of young people's behavior, let's say 10 years ago in comparison to nowadays, what changes have you seen? And you know, has it improved or vice versa?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think what I've learned to do is to not be over-judgmental when it comes to our young people. If you were to ask the generation who came before me about me, they would probably have derogatory or not so nice things to say. What difference or changes do I see? Quite honestly, young people are still young people.
Let's say statistically, you know, have their behavior in terms of crimes improved or?
Over the past 10 years?
Right.
I would have to say to you, no, it has not.
Thank you.
Okay, so you give children second chances with your diversion program, basically with C-PAC. Why are second chances so important? Second
chances are extremely important with young people because our young people, unfortunately, get into trouble with law enforcement without maybe any real ill intent. But it's trouble they can't get out of. And it's a criminal history that will follow them for the rest of their life. So if they have a second chance, if you have a second chance to redo something, then you would want to do it. With the criminal justice system, which is not so forgiving, to be granted a second chance to get it right, it doesn't get much better than that.
Okay. Education is very important in helping today's youth. Would you agree?
It's very important today as it was yesterday, as it was 100 years ago.
Okay, how do you stay relevant? We're in the digital age now. So from the time that you started to now, everyone has smartphones, kids have televisions, computers. How are you able to keep up with them?
The heavens knows it's difficult. I still use a Royal typewriter. but I have to make it my business to stay in touch with them now. I have to listen to them. I cannot be judgmental. I have to learn about the smartphone. I have a smartphone, but I can only say hello and goodbye and maybe send a text message. But I can send a text message. So I can remember 7 years ago, I couldn't text anything.
Right.
So if one of my young people text me now, I am able to text them back. Now if they said they wanted to tweet something, well, another 5 years, I'll be able to tell you what I can do.
I'll teach you. So, in one of your interviews, I saw that you said that parenting is one of the key elements in, you know, keeping our children on track. So, and you also mentioned this quote said that leaves don't fall far from the tree. How do we make it so they fall closer to the tree?
I think you maybe want to make it so the leaf does not fall off of the tree at all until it's time. Parenting may be more difficult today than it was 10 years ago because parents have so much to keep up with. It is that electronic age. Your child's best friend today could live in the East End of England. It is not difficult. We've had cases where parents have lost their children because they've managed to get on international flights and go see their best friend. It's easy to do. For parents, it is more difficult because parents tend not to want to ask for help. They need to believe that they have all of the answers. Our job is to make them understand with today's children, as with yesterday's children, we all need help. We all can use some help. So I say to parents, instead of always saying, oh, I work 2 jobs, why don't you position yourself so you can say, I work 2 jobs, but I've got some help raising my children.
So what do you think we should do as a community to get parents more involved?
Well, if you look at the Community Public Awareness Council, it's what we do. I would say to you, Fatima, you must first do some work on your community. The village is in trouble.
Right.
That is the truth. And so we need to make sure all of the lights are on and everybody's door opens and closes as it should. When you begin to find a way, and you're going to have to look for it, to make the village a livable village, you're going to find your children are going to be more productive. Where there is an orderly community, you're going to find productive children. That's the truth.
Could you tell me just an average day what C-PAC does for the children?
An average day for me from my office would be a call from one of our high schools that there is a conflict. What is a conflict? You've seen them on televisions with the fights and those kind of things. And we do conflict resolution. So an average day would be me getting on the phone, calling my team, and having my team meet me at one of the high schools to bring the children together, sit them down, and let them know we're getting ready to resolve this issue. And then we bring the tools of C-PAC to bear to bring those changes. That's an average day.
Okay, and during when I came to your office, I saw that the children were in groups. What goes on in those groups?
So you came to our youth center. My administrative office is actually further down the street.
Okay.
You came to our program center that where our youth come every Saturday.
Okay.
And there are different sessions, mods, that the children must move through. We look at them as there's an assessment mod. For those who first come in, we need to know about them. We need to know what their strengths, their weaknesses are. They need to get to know us. They need to begin to learn to understand rules. You saw our children. Our children learn to dress appropriately. Dress for success is the first thing that they find. And then they move to the group that helps them with morals, being real people, understanding what it means to be a real person, to be called sir, to be called ma'am. And then there's the educational mod. There you'll see you'll see Dr. Nelson there teaching the children to learn how to learn. And that has been extremely helpful to many of our children in classrooms. They know the answer. They feel they know the answer, but they are afraid to open their mouth because if they're wrong, everybody's going to laugh.
So you instill that confidence
So
in them.
we teach them. Nobody in here knows anything more than you do.
Okay.
So that's what you saw on Saturday.
Okay.
We also have, and I must add it, we've just added a youth law enforcement mod. Because with all that's going on nationally, I believe that you ask me how do I keep in touch with our children and keep in tune with our children, I have to be realistic.
Okay.
Our children are looking at what's going on nationally, and they want answers. They need to be able to vent. And so working with our biggest law enforcement partner, the Office of the Sheriff, we've now brought deputies in who talk to the children on Saturdays about law enforcement and community relations. Not about running up and down the street shooting at each other, but how we as law enforcement people can work with each other.
Thank you so much for giving us, no, you're fine. Thank you for giving us insight on the community and what you do for the children. Fatima?
Just one quick question. If you could sum up in one sentence, what message would you like for our youth to hear from you tonight?
The message would be that children eventually become people too.
Thank you so much, Mr. Phil.
Thank you so much for coming on the show, and thank you for all that you're doing in the community and keeping our youth focused. When we return, Darius Stanton will talk to us about some fantastic summer programs he's bringing to our youth. Stay tuned.
Welcome back. If you are just joining us, we are having a discussion called Empowerment in Our Community.
Since our youth are our future, we are having this conversation to help equip them with the proper tools to succeed. Thanks, Fatima. Welcome to the show, Darius. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, my first question to you is, how do you help the community?
How do I help the community? Well, I would like to call myself a human service entrepreneur.
Okay.
So basically,
Interesting term.
basically what that means is I worked my entire career,
Okay.
which stems probably about 25, 26 years. I started doing this type of work at about 19, working professionally in the area of youth development. And in doing that, and being a human service entrepreneur, I create concepts, programs, initiatives, and other projects that support things that youth say that they need or want. You know, we don't work from the perspective of, well, I think this is a good idea, I'm going to do it, and then say, hey, we got this program, come be involved in this program. So, like the program we have now, one of the projects that we work with, I work with an organization called Men Aiming Higher. And one of the things that we do is we developed a tour called the What's Up My Leader Healthy Living Tour. And What's Up My Leader is focused on just that, calling each other my leader versus my N-word or some other negative connotation. We want to speak what we want to see come into existence, so we call young people leaders. And before we go into the school to conduct the assembly, we have a focus group of both formal leaders, so the president of the SGA, president of this association, and the informal leaders, the ones who may get in a little trouble, the ones who might run the hall, the ones who may be doing something else, but to make sure we're getting the feedback from both sides of the school, and they tell us what they wanted to see.
Okay, you said that you started at 19, very young. Why did you get into helping the community at such a young age and just pursuing that?
Well, you know, I believe that parenting, life is based on your frame of reference. And I come from a family of educators, from a family of people who worked in the community. My mother, since I was a little boy, worked in different parts, Cabrini Green in Chicago, in Philadelphia, in Baltimore City. So I was in and around a lot of youth programs very early on. And so my father ran youth basketball leagues. So that's how I got, you know, just kind of acquired it. It just was in the blood.
It was right for you.
It's right for me.
So what are the specific projects that you're working on now, and how can people get involved in that?
Well, you can visit our website at www.menaiminghigher.org. So I work with the Stanton Group, which is a management consulting firm, as well as traditional management consulting, but also human development. In the human development side, we created a concept called win-win-win, where you win in school first. The first school is where? In the classroom.
Oh, I thought family.
That's right, it is actually. The first win is in the classroom, but the first classroom is at home. And the second win is in your community. And so we encourage young people to first and foremost exhibit your care for your community by picking up trash. You know, people just throw trash down out the window. And also by addressing and taking care of seniors, because we've kind of detached from that. And the last win is in your career and your life. That's what we do as a company, and one of the projects or organizations that we support is Men Aiming Higher. And Men Aiming Higher right now has a few programs. We just actually finished a job fair with Shoppers Food and Pharmacy we've done now for the last 3 years, and employed about 57 young people from the region. In addition to that, we are working currently on we have a leadership, an academy that does tutoring. It's called the Learning Center, and we offer tutoring throughout the week.
Going back to you working with the youth, do parents come to you or do you intervene?
Well, I think it's a combination of both, but the space that we're in now is definitely a combination. You know, we're in schools, and so while we're in schools, we have young people after we finish our presentations that come up to us and say, hey, how can I get involved? And we invite them to participate.
So my last question to you, since it is summer, can you give us your opinion on, or expertise on how you feel children should be dealt with during the summer, since they are out of school and they could possibly get into more trouble?
Well, words have power, so I like to speak things that I want to see come into existence. So, for example, people have donned me peace and love because I always say peace and love. And so I think it's important to know that, give young people an opportunity, find out what they want to do, and then look to create those opportunities for them. You have to really be sometimes, in particular, really creative because there may be slim resources financially, it may be time constraints, single parents, or even in two-parent families, there's still the challenge of who's going to pick them up, who's going to drop them off.
There's still problems.
Right, but I think the key is identifying things and going out of your way to look for opportunities for your young people. And also having young people understand the value of a successful summer. A successful summer breeds a successful life.
Thank you so much, Darius, for joining us today.
It was such a pleasure learning from you, and unfortunately our discussion is very short, but I hope we'll have more time to discuss your projects and ideas. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome.
Peace and love. Happy summer.
Happy summer.
Coming up, we have a wonderful performance for you, and guess what? It's one of our youth, Marcus Dolford, so stay put.
You're mighty, all powerful, yeah. You're mighty, all powerful. You're mighty, all powerful. You're mighty, all powerful. So my praise is to the heavens, 'cause that's where you are. That's where you are. My praise is to the heavens, 'cause that's where you are. That's where you are. Help me say. My praise is to the heavens. That's where you are. That's where you are. That's where you are. My praise is to the heavens. That's where you are. Yeah, that's where you are. That's where you are. Everlasting. Your love is everlasting. Your love is everlasting. Your love is everlasting. You're holy and merciful. You're holy and merciful. You're holy and merciful. You're holy and merciful. You're mighty, all powerful, yeah. You're mighty, all powerful. You're mighty, all powerful. You're mighty, all powerful. So my praise is to the heavens, 'cause that's where you are, God. That's where you are. My praise is to the heavens, 'cause that's where you are. That's where you are. Help me say. My praise is to the heavens. That's where you are, yeah. That's where you are. That's where you are. My praise is to the heavens, yeah. 'Cause that's where you
that's where you are.
God, we give you glory and we bless your name.
'Cause that's where you are. That's where you are.
You deserve the glory and there's nobody like you nowhere, no.
'Cause that's where you are.
And I lift it up like this, I say,
you are.
you're holy, you're holy. My praise goes to you. Help me say,
You're holy,
you're holy.
so holy.
My praise
goes to you.
said you're mighty,
You're mighty,
so mighty.
so mighty.
My praise
goes to you.
said you're mighty,
You're mighty,
so mighty.
so mighty.
My praise
goes to you.
said you're awesome,
You're awesome,
so awesome.
so awesome.
My
praise goes to you.
said you're awesome.
You're awesome,
Every situation of
so
my life,
awesome.
my
praise goes to you.
Come on, sing this. Oh, oh, my praise goes to you. Say it.
Oh,
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 my praise.
praise goes to you.
Sometimes you don't even have words. All you can say is, oh.
Oh,
God, we give you the praise and we give you the glory.
praise goes
Come on, right there where you are,
to
create an atmosphere of worship.
Oh.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Oh.
My praise.
goes to you.
Send my praise.
Goes to you.
Send my praise.
Goes to you.
God inhabits the praises of his people.
Goes to you.
So God, I know you're here. Yeah,
praise goes to you.
Send my praise.
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 Goes to you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah.
That was so wonderful, Marquise. Thanks so much for joining us.
Well, my first question to you is, what type of music do you perform and why?
The type of music and the style of music that I perform is Christian contemporary, and the reason why I perform that is because of the fact that my love for God, I wanted to be able to reach to the nations and to my peers.
Okay. How has music helped you, your gospel music?
Music helped me because in rough times and situations that I've went through in my life, it has been a kind of an encouragement to that situation. It's also have been that thing that I have been able to escape away from that problem and be able to go into my zone in my music.
Okay, very interesting.
Yes. So what inspires you and who inspires you?
What inspires me? What inspires me is the reaction that I get from the testimonies that my peers come back to me and say that, oh, that really blessed me, or, oh, that was really awesome. That encouraged me to actually do something better. And who inspires me is first God, and then my mentor, Minister Jarmon Davis.
Okay.
Marquise, tell me a little bit, how would you distinguish yourself as a new upcoming artist? Because we all know that the market now, the musical market, is very crowded, you know, and United States has one of the best performers, one of the best artists. How do you stay unique?
My individuality in my music is basically, I get into God's presence and I want to create that worship atmosphere everywhere I go. I want you to leave somewhere that I have ministered and say, wow, I have had an inner witness with God.
Mm-hmm. And when was that calling? When did it come? How did it come? Like, I want to know this moment when it happened.
All right, well, that moment was 5 years ago. I have got in contact with, well, I went to church with my mom one day. We went to Evangel Cathedral in Upper Marlboro, Maryland, and I went to that church, I saw the choir, they were singing so wonderful. I said, you know what, I'm going to join, and I'm going to be a part of that.
That's how it all began.
Yes, I went to rehearsal that Tuesday night, and when I went to rehearsal, the choir director, which is Jarmon Davis, he said that I wasn't old enough to be a part of it, but he's going to let me come anyway because he had the same opportunity when he was a youth. And so I began to fall in love with it. I began to say, okay, wow, I'm going to commit to this music thing because it's actually becoming a part of my lifestyle. And so I began to direct the Bowie High School Gospel Choir and direct some of the choirs at Evangel, and I began to find a passion for music.
How do you bring people your age in? Because I always hear that, you know, you get saved as, you know, you've gone through life, things happen to you, and then that's the moment when you get saved. You're so young. How do you bring in young people?
Well, I don't bring in the young people. God brings in the young people. God just uses me to be able to talk to them and relate to them. My biggest thing is that I want to be able to put out music. I want to be able to relate to my peers on a peer status. You know what I'm saying? I want to be able to say, okay, that's what you mean, or that's how you're feeling. Let's talk about it. Let's get together. Let's learn about it. Let's see what God says about it. And that's my biggest thing, is I want to relate to you through my music, through what is catching your attention. But not only that, have encouraging words behind
That
it.
is
You know?
so beautiful. It's very beautiful to see such a young man that has such passion and just inspiration to the others.
So your music will be here long after you're gone. So what do you want your legacy to be?
I haven't really took much thought into that. But if I was, to go home to be with the Lord, I want it to be a leftover that no matter what you go through in life, that's not where you're going to end up. Okay. So you can still get back up, brush your shoulders off, and keep moving forward.
This is beautiful.
Thank
you so much.
Thanks to all of our guests for joining us today and sharing all of your knowledge and aspirations, as well as empowering our community. I know that it can sometimes be daunting, but we appreciate you and all that you are doing.
We hope that our audience can find ways to now have the courage to follow their dreams and never give up. We close today with a special song that we hope will inspire our youth.
I'm Kashara Clay.
And I'm Fatima Jallo.
And we hope our audience at home has enjoyed today's show. See you next time.
Thank you.
I thought I had it all figured out. I didn't even ask you about all the things I was doing, and I ruined the things that meant the most to me. Now I'm standing here all alone. The friends that I had are gone. All I have left is you, Lord. I don't know what I was thinking. When I walked away, I was tripping. I denied your grace, you renewed my mind. Gotta get back to the place I know that I should be. Try to do things my own way. Now I'm gonna do it your way. Hey, I'm tired of doing my own thing. Hey, I can make it the same mistakes. Your way, yeah. Your way. I'm gonna do it your way. I'm gonna do it your way. Hey, hey, let's go, let's go, let's go. Then I went again and messed up again, but through it all you